Thank you very much, Louise, and thank you for the invitation. Let me start. Publishing has always operated in a social and cultural environment that is constantly changing. And publishers themselves, through their commissioning or selection of material, and as a result of the works they decide to disseminate, influence both what is discussed in society and how those works are received. It is my view that if we are to create and maintain free, healthy societies, then publishers must have the will and the ability to challenge established thinking. We need to preserve the history of our cultures and to make room for new knowledge, critical opposition, and challenging artistic expressions. In my mind, freedom to publish means that publishers must be allowed to publish all that they deem worthy of publication, even and perhaps especially if those works challenge the boundaries established by the society they operate in. So freedom of expression is a prerequisite for creative industries to flourish. The conditions governing and restricting freedom to publish vary around the world. And in many European countries, we have taken the freedom to publish for granted. But the challenges are many, in my opinion, so many that we need to set the freedom to publish on the European agenda for the publishing industry. In some places, it is government and state regimes that prevent the publication of material or works that they deem to be either dangerous or inappropriate. In other cases, there are pressure groups, social, religious, or commercial, that are trying to prevent publication of certain information. Also, increasingly, large technology companies are influencing, often secretly or behind our screens, what we as readers and consumers can and can't see. And there is also always a growing concern about the polarization in certain countries and to what degree the tools used by the operators of social medias influences the lack of shared understanding. But governments and authorities also use tools other than censorship. Many countries have introduced special laws to deal with the COVID-19 crisis. And there is actually a growing concern that these might be maintained in the future after we have solved the crisis, and that some of them could be used to limit the freedom to publish and freedom of expression. And in a common challenge to publishers in all countries is a question of self-censorship. So even in countries with few regulations on freedom to publish, publishers might have to consider the negative consequences of producing and distributing certain content. Prime examples, you can find them in European countries as well, are the draconian libel or criminal defamation laws in some of these countries, which take no account of the public interest when a critical statement is made about what is happening in society, and this places an extraordinary legal burden on authors and publishers. And similarly, a growing number of jurisdictions are punishing whistleblowers and investigative journalists who expose malpractice, corruption, or official incompetence when the public interest is more clearly served by the protection of these writers and their publishers. And this fear of self-censorship also affects authors, booksellers, and librarians. We have also seen reports that pressure groups, especially in the USA, within publishing houses, are challenging the publishing choices by the editors of the same publishing house. And it is necessary to engage employees in these publishing houses in a discussion of whether or not we should stick with the French Enlightenment philosopher and writer Voltaire, who has been credited on saying, "I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it." I must also say that there is an increasing concern about the interference by governments in the production of learning materials, especially when some governments support producing and authorizing only one textbook for each subject. We can see from research that the best performing education systems around the world, by and large, encourage educational publishers to compete in an open market and producing innovative solutions that meet local needs. I think it's important in all dialogues with governments to stress that the freedom of publish aspect of having a competitive market for learning materials. As a member and the chair of the Freedom to Publish Committee of the International Publishers Association for the last 5 years, I tend to conclude that this challenge to the freedom to publish is increasing. I do think that we need to set freedom to publish firmly on the European agenda for the publishing industry. And as the managing director of the newly founded World Expression Forum, we want to contribute to the development of the freedom of expression around the world. We want to do this with a global approach, but also look at the regional and local challenges. We will have a yearly congress in Lillehammer in Norway, but we will also develop projects and reports. And the European publishing industry stands firmly behind the creation of the World Expression Forum. We think that the need for a forum where the challenges to freedom of expression can be discussed is greater than ever. But we also need to showcase progress. We know that free media, as well as literature and other art forms that exist uncensored, are both the fundamental precondition for freedom of expression and its ultimate products. They provide basic information and knowledge, and they are central to the constructive critical debate. Also, freedom of expression is necessary for trust and openness, both between people and between individuals and the social institutions. Actually, freedom of expression is a prerequisite for an inclusive society. One of the projects that World Expression Forum will start is a project called the Development of Freedom of Expression in Europe and the Role of the European Union. We will start by gathering information that will give us a better understanding of the European challenges, and hopefully it will produce suggestions on how we best can ensure that a key factor for the continuous success of the publishing industry, the freedom to publish, is upheld. We must promote literacy that includes the ability to navigate in a world of trolls and fake news. And we need a European policy on the development of learning materials where publishers compete to deliver on the curriculum. Publishing has always been a challenging and a rewarding task. We need international cooperation, and we need to support each other so that we do not fail one of the major objectives of our work. As I stated, the situation for the freedom to publish is more challenging than ever. But as Nobel laureate Toni Morrison said, this is precisely the time when artists go to work. There is no time for despair, no place for self-pity, no need for silence, and no room for fear. We do language. That is how civilizations heal. Thank you.